My research was on treatment methods for short chain PFAS. So PFAS are per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, also known as forever chemicals. They don't biodegrade quickly, which is why they're called forever chemicals, and they're used in nonstick pans, stain-resistant fabrics, and firefighting foams. These are found in low concentrations in many bodies of water and also in the blood samples of many people. There's a good chance that you have PFAS in your blood right now. And at the bottom is a diagram of a PFOS molecule. It's a type of PFAS. PFAS is linked with aminotoxicity, thyroid disease, liver disease, insulin dysregulation, kidney disease, uric acid, kidney cancer, and adverse reproductive outcomes. So there's been a lot of research done on the negative health effects of PFAS. So now I'm going to touch on the difference between short chain and long chain PFAS. PFAS consists of a fluorocarbon chain and a polar head group. And the difference between short chain and PFAS, long chain PFAS is just the length of that carbon chain. So as you can see in the diagram, PFBS molecule has 4 carbons and a PFOS has 8. Industries have shifted from long chain production to short chain production to avoid regulations that have been placed on long chain production. And because this is very recent, most research has been done on long chain PFAS remediation. Here's just a table of a PFAS naming convention. It's not really important that you actually know the names, just to know that the short chain PFAS have less carbons. And here's some properties of PFAS. And you can link them to properties of fluorine. So PFAS have really high thermal and chemical stabilities. They're strong acids, and they also have hydrophobic and lipophobic surfactant properties, meaning that they can be both attracted to water and they're both attracted to water and also to oils. And here are some trends. Again, it's just the graph itself is not as important, but it's important to note that as the carbon chain increases in length, the molecule becomes more hydrophobic. And this is important when it comes to removing PFAS from water, because long chain PFAS removal is typically easier than short chain PFAS removal. Because short chain PFAS will dissolve in water a lot easier because of their shorter chain length, so it's harder to remove. Long chain PFAS are typically bigger as well, making them easier to trap in a lot of removal systems. Speaking of removal systems, the first method that I looked into was adsorption. It's not to be confused with absorption. Adsorption with the D is the adhesion of molecules of fluid onto a solid substance surface. These are predominantly governed by electrostatic and hydrophobic forces. And electrostatic interactions are, think of it as interactions between positively and negatively charged particles, almost like a magnet. And the repulsion would be the opposite. So if you had 2 positively charged particles, they would reject each other. Hydrophobic attraction is between 2 hydrophobic substances. And this is one of the reasons why long chain PFAS are easier to adsorb, because they have those interactions because they're more hydrophobic. And as you can see at the bottom, there's a diagram of a PFOS molecule adsorbing onto an electrode. That head group is negatively charged. So it's attracted to the positively charged electrode. That's why it sort of sticks on. The other method that I researched was membrane separation. These utilized physical separation of water and that PFAS molecule. It's almost like a filter, but the most effective membranes use extremely small pore sizes, which are nanofiltration and reverse osmosis, and utilize pressure, high pressure, to really force the water through. Pore size for membrane separation is the key for removing forever chemicals. So I researched a few types of hydrogel technologies, and what I found was that hydrogel technologies utilize adsorption as a primary removal technique. These are gels that use linkers and polymers to trap the PFAS, and they utilize absorption as the primary technique. For short chain PFAS removal, the most important factor would be the electrostatic interactions. And this is because they don't have many hydrophobic interactions, as they're more hydrophilic. Therefore, the best hydrogel adsorbents that were tested were very positively charged. There are some names that don't really matter, but the point is that these performed better because they were very positively charged, which attracted the negatively charged PFAS head more. However, for very short chain PFAS, think 4 carbons, that's the shortest PFAS there is. Hydrogels didn't perform as well because they're very difficult to absorb because they have very, very low hydrophobic interactions. That's the main con of hydrogels, is that they don't perform as well on the very small short chain PFAS. But one pro of hydrogel technologies is that they can be regenerated easily. You can essentially wash out the PFAS from the hydrogel and allow for that reuse multiple times. This potentially makes them more environmentally friendly. Now we can look at membranes for PFAS removal. These primarily utilize membrane separation. However, the best ones also included adsorption as well. So essentially they'd have some level of some sort of electrostatic interactions on the surface of the membrane, which was linked with having a higher removal percentage. Overall, these perform significantly better than the hydrogels, most likely because hydrophobic interactions due to chain length did not matter at all, did not matter significantly. The most important factor was having a small enough pore size. And here's just a graph of some membranes that I looked at. The names, again, don't really matter, but the important thing is the ones that performed the best were the ones that incorporated a membrane with a very small pore size combined with some sort of electrostatic interactions. So as you can see, the amyloid carbon hybrid membrane used granular activated carbon as an absorbent. So these electrostatic interactions interacted with the PFAS even more, which caused more separation. A lot of studies will test PFAS removal in clean deionized water. However, there's a lot of external factors that can affect testing removal, such as organic matter, pH, salt concentration, and anion concentration. The water that you're trying to clean, that you're trying to remove PFAS from, it's not going to be pure distilled water. It's going to be dirty. There's going to be other stuff in it. And pressure also affects for membranes. The reason why these are important is that they could compete with adsorbent sites and causing hydrogels or these other methods to be less effective. The majority of papers do not test in these external conditions. However, for hydrogels, typically the removal rate decreases for these conditions because there's a lot of competition for those absorbent sites. If you have salt in the water, which dissolve, and there's extra anions in the water, those will compete for those same sites that the PFAS would go for, which would cause less PFAS separation. However, for membranes, these external factors do not have as much of an effect because membrane separation is the primary removal method. And this is because if the pore size is small enough, nothing will go through, just the water. So in conclusion, the high pressure membranes with the smallest pore size, like nanofiltration and reverse osmosis, perform the best for PFAS removal. And the ones that utilize membrane separation combined with electrostatic interactions performed even better. Not only that, membrane performed even better when testing with external conditions, such as organic matter, different pH, and salt concentrations. This is because membrane separation is really determined by pore size, which is very easy to manipulate. And that's it.
Great, thank you. So what was the most surprising thing that you learned with your research?
The most surprising thing that I learned was that I didn't expect there to be such different methods for removing PFAS. If you think about it, like an adsorbent technology, it's the actual treatment mechanism is so much different from membranes, but the fact that they both work at a pretty high level was kind of interesting to me because one relies more on physical separation and one is more electrostatic, relying on the charge differential. So that was really interesting to me because it just told me that there's often multiple ways to solve the same problem.
Great. And how would you like to continue research or diving into this topic?
So I wrote a paper on this and I'm planning to publish that. And I hope to do more research on other techniques for removal. In this project I was only able to look at hydrogels and membranes. I do want to look at other techniques to remove PFAS.